Welcome to our podcast, Trial, Error, and Tiny Humans, where we discuss the joys, fears, and lessons of the journey to parenthood. As best friends who love Jesus, we dive into faith, practical planning, and inspiring conversation with parents from all walks of life. I am one of your co-hosts, Alicia.
And I'm Melissa Beasley.
How you been, friend?
Good.
It's good. So on a scale of 1 to assembling IKEA without the manual, how prepared did you feel for adulthood this
This past week.
1 is the good one.
1 is the good one?
Yeah.
Without the manual.
And then 2, assembling IKEA without the manual.
You know, I guess the more I'm like, does this question even make sense? I don't know. I'm a follow the manual person, right? Like boop 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 boop. But then at the same time, skirt it over there. Anyways, not prepared. Yeah, it's not prepared. That the weekend prior, definitely. I'm a weekend preparer. So like, if I don't prepare on the weekend, my week just kind of shows. And so this past weekend, last weekend, did not prepare the way I wanted to. And so yeah, this week definitely showed. So whatever that falls on the scale, what does that mean?
Probably about a 5.
Okay, what about you?
Sound like about a 5. I was probably about a 5. About a 5. Definitely wasn't the perfect adult this week.
Is there
a lot
a
of different
adult?
changes, but I feel like there is no manual for adulthood and what you go through in adulthood. I think this week I just became more aware of life and its definitive end. So I think I became more graceful this week, but definitely wasn't prepared for the weekend, what the week had in store for me. So I'm glad to be on the weekend.
Yes.
Okay? I feel like the weekend always feel like a 1. Like I don't need no manual to know how to do weekend.
We're just doing it.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so we have a scripture that we like to just get ourselves planted in before we actually get into the nitty-gritty of the episode. So I honestly can't remember who picked this scripture, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to let you speak on it first, but I'll read it out loud. It says, "Now, Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. But I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours?" That comes from 1 Kings 3:7-9.
Wow. Dang, that's a good verse. It is. I know as we start to, scavenger hunt through the Bible for verses that best fit the episode. I don't remember which one of us came up with this one, but I think I feel this verse today.
For sure. Okay, but before I guess you give your thoughts on the scripture, what are we even talking about?
Today, we really want to discuss the feelings around preparing for parenthood, right? We know that is, in this generation, we have a lot of conversations around all the steps we could take. We have all the books, all the research, anything that we need, we have at our fingertips. I mean, the iPhone did not exist when my mama had me.
Nope, definitely
like
not.
this, I don't even think they was working on it when my mama had me.
Probably not.
So we are discussing that feeling of preparing for parenthood and just understanding our thoughts around it.
Yeah, so how does the scripture tie into that?
Well, what I love about this scripture is that Solomon is being honest about himself, right? Like he's putting himself in a place of vulnerability, which is necessary as you prepare for this journey, right? You have no idea what's going to happen. You got no idea what it's going to be. You wish you can, like you can watch all the movies, read all the books, and that won't prepare you for the unique child that's created with your DNA and the DNA of your husband. And Solomon is just saying, man, you've left me with such a great responsibility.
Sheesh.
What do I do? And I think that as I dissect that verse, he's saying that my dad did such a great job with what you left him. I want to do a great job too. Help me do a great job. Help me be the father that my father was or the mother that my mother was.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. I feel like you hit on the head. And then, but what he asked for, right, on top of that is, so give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. And so, and we know, those who know scripture knows like God's response to that, right? Like, man, like you could have asked for anything. Like you could have asked for wealth. You could have asked for power. You could have asked for all these things. And you chose to ask for a discerning heart, right? So you know what's right and wrong. And I think that even just goes into parenthood, like what we ask for matters, right? And, you know, asking for, I don't say the right thing, but just like our posturing our heart in humility to the Lord to recognize where we fall and asking for those things, the things that actually matter versus, I don't know, just like the things that don't, you know?
And I think it's a little bit of expectation, right? So in his role, so in Solomon's role, those things were going to come, right? Like he would get the wealth, he already had those things, right? So he could have asked for the things that he already had, but he chose to ask for the things he didn't know, right? And so I think that when I think about parenthood, it's about like, there are things that we know that we're naturally going to be good. Like my kid going to go to school, my kid going to do, they going to finish K to 12. Okay. I can't speak for after that, but sometimes the expectation we put on our children, like they come back later, you know, to bite us in the butt. And I think in seeing what Solomon said is that like, I could set my expectation to these things, or I could set my expectation on these things, but what expectation do I have for my life? That's going to dictate the expectation that I have for my kids' life. You know, so I love what you said about like, man, just his posture was right. He could have asked for anything, you know, but because he didn't ask for those things, God gave him those things anyway.
Yes. Wow, what a blessing.
So it's good. It's good to know when you can tell when you're on the right path. When the things that you want come because you did the thing you were supposed to do. He was preaching in that verse. That was a good one.
That was a
friend.
good one. Yes.
I don't know which of us chose it, but we did good.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so as we talk about going into parenthood, are there any moments where you've thought, man, I'm totally ready for this, and you like realize, yeah, you might not be? Yeah,
I mean, in my field of work, I see a lot of kids, right, in education. And I think after becoming an educator, I really did think like, man, if I can handle these kids, I can handle any kid, right? And it kind of put me in that mentality that it's not that hard. And very recently, I started to realize that after 4 p.m., I get to leave those kids at work and go to my
peace out
empty house with just me and my man. And I'm not ready. What about you? I definitely thought I was though.
Yeah. So this one, I think it's an interesting question just based on the season that I've walked through at the beginning of or mid-year, I guess. So I remember just like praying to the Lord, like, man, I want a baby. Hey, I want a baby. Like, I'm ready for this. Yes, let's go. All the things. And then finding out I'm pregnant, right? And all the excitement, all the things. And then I remember a moment where I was just like, I'm not ready for this. Like, what are all the questions that I didn't ask? Like, I haven't even looked at all the baby products and where am I supposed to give birth? Mind you, this is like early, like very early in the pregnancy, right? And so just like completely freaking out. And then, then to walk through the miscarriage after the fact was just, and that's a whole conversation within itself, but I think it's funny just to reflect now on the mindset of just like, yeah, I'm ready. And then to be put in the fire of like, hey, this child is in your body now. Like it's coming whether you want to or not. Right. And like that, I think that gave me just like a humbling experience. And so I'm not pregnant now, but now I'm just like, okay, I think my mindset has changed in a sense of, I don't think that I will, and I know we're going to talk through this podcast about it, but I don't think that we can ever be truly ready, right? But knowing that I serve a God that is preparing me for that child, that's going to support me through the season of raising this child, and I think that there's a peace that comes with that I didn't have when I was in the worry. So
I think what's interesting in your story, and I never thought about this until you said it, that I think that we prepare for the excitement, but we didn't prepare for the low, right? Like the expectation that, oh man, like this is going to come into fruition because it happened, and then it didn't happen. Like, what do we do when it doesn't? I think that is a conversation that honestly is in the Parentally Unprepared, right? Like the journey through parenthood or becoming a parent also includes the possibility of not, and I don't think I ever thought about that, until you experienced that, or like until somebody I know has that experience that like, like this is a part of that journey too. This is what makes like the highs real high is, like these low moments. It's just interesting that we don't prepare for that. Like we don't prepare for loss because we set our expectation that we won't experience it.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Because you don't want to be a negative Nancy, but what do we do to prepare for those moments too, I guess? Yeah. I don't know.
My answer now is just being surrounded with community that can pour into you in the moments of excitement and like, yes, girl, like let's talk through this. And that's what we're doing, right? Like we get to talk through these moments of preparing for the future child. And in that community too, they'll be able to support you and walk through you if you do go through a loss, right? And even more, being surrounded by community that loves the Lord, that can give you truth and pour word into you and pray over you and all those things. And that to me is the only level of preparedness that I can think of right now. But yeah. So I guess to that point, how much do you think being prepared as a whole is even possible before you're in it and before we're even parents?
I think that there's a level of financial preparedness that you can have, like the physical things, right? Like all of the materials are possible to prepare for. Like I have no doubt that we will have all of the physical. I'm 90% sure we're going to have, a pretty tight community around us. So I think that you can prepare for those things, like the things that you already have or the things that you can get, the materials. I think you can be 97% prepared for those things. 97%.
What about the other things once outside of the physical?
I think you can be about 50% prepared for those, maybe even 40. Like I feel like I can be 40% prepared for my body's physical changes. I feel like I can be about 20% prepared for if something happens to my child, like during childbirth or before they tell me, oh, this, is a possibility. I think you could be, if you find out early, like right now, you can find out so much about the kid inside of you so early that you can make decisions. So maybe that number is 40, 50%. I could be 40, 50% prepared for my mental state to be there. But yeah, those numbers are much lower for me, like in my confidence to be there. I feel like I can only be about 50% prepared even for like the marital changes that I know that I'm experiencing. About 50%.
I love that you put percentages to these things. Yeah, I can't. You would think that you're the math person, right?
And I'm not.
You're not.
I'm just a thinker.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you said that there's certain things that we can be prepared in, because I think you're right. Like we can be prepared in our finances and having all the things, right? Like the baby stuff that we need to purchase. I love that you touched on our bodies, right? Because I think that is part of what we're supposed to do, is take care of our bodies, steward our health. And us as women, that matters even more, because the way we take care of our body is then going to translate into the health of our children, right? And how healthy of a birth we have, and all those things. So I do think that there is a level of preparedness that we can have there. I think there's a level of preparedness that we can have in our mindsets, right? Like just shifting our mindsets, having these conversations, having conversations with other parents, just, you know, kind of getting some insight. And I think that there's also we're not prepared for the parts that we don't know about our kids. Because you're right, like we'll be able to know physical things about them in terms of their health, or so be it, but we don't know what personality they're going to have, you know, and it may clash with ours, and I might not be prepared for it. And so yeah, I mean, I think there's only just a certain level of preparedness that we can have there. So, and I'm sure that any parent would tell us that they weren't ready for this until they were put into it. So
I feel like so many people are just apt for me to have a kid. And like I'm telling you, everybody, I posted on my story, and you know what? I realized I don't be trolling. Like, I'm not a troll, but I do like to leave breadcrumbs. I do like to leave the people guessing. And so now the people are guessing in a direction I don't like. And but I was discussing with one of my friends, you know, just around like parenthood and, you know, like my thoughts and where they see me and things like that. And on just yesterday, one of my coworkers was like, man, I'm trying to imagine you know, like with the kid. It's like, I can't do it. It's like, you so independent. You're so, you know, like you're such a go-getter. You're so ambitious. You're so like carefree, and like I do what I want, when I want, how I want it to be done. I'm like, yeah, man, the thing is that I have such a personality that's all the way extreme one way that I know parenthood is going to change me in ways that I don't anticipate, you know. And I told her, I said, you know, like, I think there are blessings waiting for me on the other side that I can't capture in this version of myself, right? But like, what parts of you do you already, I guess, that you see, like, I'm this, but you anticipate parenthood changing you to this?
Oh, that's a good one.
Or it's something you want to continue, like, I'm this, and I know it's going to be amplified through parenthood because of this.
Mm-hmm. I think where I've grown, even just from marrying Mark, that I know I wasn't great at prior to, was communicating my feelings, right? Because I'm a big feeler. All the things, right? I go through a lot of emotions. My brain is always like, anyways. And so I've always, I don't want to say always, but I've had the tendency to just like keep it in and fester in those emotions. And I feel like being married has helped me to like, hey, we need to communicate these, like talk through them, process them. And, like I want to, I see the benefit of how that has grown me as a person in this season. And I also have seen the impact of not having communication with my parents, right? Like of how I truly feel, or like how, all the pressures, or blah, blah, blah. And I think I've grown in that as I've gotten older. And so I think that that's going to be really put to the test too as I have kids, and to be able to communicate in the way that they understand too, right? So being able to just learn how to put into verbiage that they can put in their little brains, and as they grow, be like, okay, now we're gonna really get into how are you feeling, how are we feeling, can we process together. So yeah, I think communication would be the big thing for me. What about you?
That's a good one. I don't know. That question's still in my head. Just like, man, like I know that there's an overhaul of personality change on the other side that makes me apprehensive, you know, about even venturing to the other side, because all those things that she said about me, like, those are true. Right? But they are so, I don't want to say selfish. Selfish isn't the right vocabulary word, but they are self-centered, right? They center around me. And even marriage started to, like chip at that, I guess you would say, that stone about me, because like marriage requires a level of we, and then adding a kid makes it an even bigger we, but I'm very used to, I think it's just because I was a twin and I shared everything. So now it's me time, and I'm not sure I want to shift to we time yet, and so I know though that is the biggest shift, I guess I could say, is going from me to we. Is like, that's literally going to change the way that my brain has been operating for the past decade, probably.
Yeah.
So interested, I guess you could say, in the science experiment of it.
Not the science experiment.
Who is that on the other side? My hypothesis is people might like her better. But, in my midlife crisis moments, I just wonder, like, well, but who is that? Like, who am I without this? Right? And I think that's what I'm parentally unprepared for. Is like, who am I without, like, this drive? Who am I without, like, the way that my brain operates when it comes to how I perceive the world and what I've done in the world? Like, who is the person on the other side? That could be scary. I'm not just worried about that kid on the other side. Who am I on the other side of this? And I don't know, friend.
I think that's good though, to just think through and ponder on, because I hear, or I don't know, but I hear that there's a level of you that gets lost when you're so focused on kids. That may be a whole other episode we can kind of talk through.
Maybe when we get to the other side. When we get to the other side.
Oh, man. So, is there an area where you feel like the least unprepared? Like your finances, emotions, like the practical things?
I think, what I was just discussing, like the emotional side of things, like my internal change, like not even, like, honestly, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind getting a little thicker. Like, I wouldn't mind that.
I can't.
But my internal, like, just what has driven me so far literally won't serve me in this journey. Like, it doesn't serve me in this journey. And so I think that I'm least prepared for that. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, as God changes my heart around parenthood and, like, having kids, like, man, who is that, bro? Like, I have absolutely no idea who that person is. And some people have, like, spent their lives imagining that. I have not. Not me. Okay? Like, so I think I'm literally unprepared for me. For me. How selfish is that? It's crazy. Still me-centered, even in the journey.
Lord, work on her.
But I am, like, I'm unprepared for me, because I really do think my community gonna come through. My man definitely gonna come through. Like, I'm not worried about all the outside pieces. I think what has always hindered me was me. So I'm least prepared for the shift in me that's necessary for a kid to happen. What about you?
As you're talking, I think what comes to my mind is releasing control, right? Because I like to have the schedules. I like to, like, follow, which I feel like even in marriage has broken that part down for me, to just, like, let go of controlling. I can't control this man,
He is all me.
He's all him, And so I think same thing with my kids, like, that there's a level of preparedness and planning that we can do, but releasing that control over is going to be key, and being at peace with what the outcomes are. So,
because I don't want my kid to feel like the pressure, like, my mom wants me to be this. Man, I want you to be you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, whoever that is, I just want to see that person. I was talking to my brother, and he was sharing a little bit about something somebody had told him about how he hides the worst parts of him. And, but that person is like, but I want to know those worst parts because I love that person too. And that's what I want my kid to feel, is that feeling. right? That like my mom loves the worst parts of me, but I think that takes a level of me to love my worst parts to even produce that emotion that's necessary, and I'm not sure I'm there yet.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not.
That's good. That's so good. I mean, that's the same thing with our Father, our Heavenly Father, man. Like, he loves the worst parts of us.
But we here too, right?
We do.
When we did the worst thing, we like, oh, I didn't want you to see me like this. Like, who told you
that you were naked?
Yeah. Who told you that I didn't see you like this? You get what I'm saying? Like, I always saw you like this. You know? Like, I didn't change, you did. You know? So, I think that's just interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. Dang. So good. I guess so as we're preparing into parenthood, is there any particular resource that you're using right now that sparks joy in you?
Pinterest makes me excited to be a parent. I'm planning all my parties already through Pinterest. For a maybe. I'm planning all of my maybe parties. It's a locked board. I'm the only person that has access to it. You know, so like there's a secret small part of me that is, you know, like if I do this, these are the things that I want. Like, cause I got to be put on a pedestal. Okay. Like, man, my whole life got to change. Like, if I have a kid, man, I just need it to be right. Like, I need the environment to be right. Like, to be primed for me to walk into that space in peace, right? Like, I don't need a whole bunch of things, but I need peace. But Pinterest been making me feel like maybe parenthood ain't that bad, okay? Because the world will tell you it's a scam, but Pinterest is telling me no, it's a joy. It's a joy. What about you?
What about, hold on, first of all, what about Pinterest is that sparks that joy? Just the
parties and the peace. Like, I feel like, you know, on the internet, we show our like best selves, I guess you could say. And so on Pinterest, I feel like it makes motherhood feel so, like, I feel like I'm going to be so tapped into my femininity. Like, just being able to be grace, whatever they say that Proverbs 31 woman is. Like, I feel like Pinterest is the place. That's where she is hidden. That Proverbs 31 woman is showing up in Pinterest. Just Pinterest, not in the world.
You are funny. You are funny. Do you feel like there's, I guess, a risk of setting a certain expectation because of that?
No, because I mean, the parties on Pinterest, I can control those. You get what I'm saying? But I really do think that, like, as a woman in today's society, like, there is a pressure to, like, become a parent. Right? Like, if you don't, there's just two circles. Like, they're like just very on different sides of the spectrum. You have the people who are like, yes, do it, become a parent. Like, that's what you were designed to do. Yes, it's your body, but this is like the purpose. And then all the way on the other side of the spectrum are like, no, I'm me. I'm a woman. I'm driving. I want to be the CEO. I'm going to be the president, you know. And maybe in the middle, like the only slider are the people who believe they can have both, right? Like, and it's so far few in between. Like, even, you know, like I was listening to a podcast with Michelle Obama where she was just kind of talking about like having it all is a myth of unbalance. Like, we believe that we'll be able to balance it. Some gonna fall, some gonna drop, you know. But I think that those are the women that's still on this side that say, like, I have to do this, but how do I do this? And they're willing to try it. But then you literally have the other side of the spectrum that is just like, nope, ain't gonna do it, ain't for me, you know. And I think I'm trying to figure out where I slide. But Pinterest, I think it's the place that I can go to take the pressure off, right? Like, there's this pressure to do this thing, but Pinterest is just showing me, Pinterest is just showing me, like, maybe it's not as bad as I think it is on the other side.
Like, there's moments of joy that can be experienced in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know them
this
kids
scary
make me
thing.
mad. And I know for sure I make them kids mad. Okay, I make kids mad every day right now. So, but that is the place that I can go to where it's just like, yeah, but me, I'm gonna make that kid happy and that kid gonna make me happy too. What about you? What's your joy place when you think about parenthood?
Well, I think of like a resource that I like to use right now. I'm a huge podcast listener, I think. And one podcast that I've been enjoying listening to is At Home with the Beveres.
Ooh,
and
I like
so
the Beveres.
yeah, great people.
If
and,
y'all are listening, we love you.
yes, let's go. And so I guess the main couple, yeah, that mostly speaks, the episodes that I've been listening to are like John Bevere's oldest son and his wife, and they're raising like 2 teenage kids right now. And so they've had a lot of these type of conversations of like parenthood and navigating as believers, and just having hard conversations with their kids. And it's been really cool to listen to, because even they who, I feel like it's easy to put people that it's John Bevere and it's John Bevere's son, like these great people, right? To put them on a pedestal and say like, oh, they got it all together, right? And so it's easy to do that, I think. But I appreciate like their vulnerability in their conversations, and I hope that that's something that our listeners get too, of just recognizing like, yes, we love the Lord, yes, that the Word is what's guiding us in this journey of parenthood, and we're also human, right? And we're not gonna get it right, and our flesh will want to pop off on that kid, right?
Yeah, I just might.
And we're not going to be the most loving and all the things. And so for me, that resource has been a resource that I have found joy in, because it has reflected humanity in 2 people who love the Lord. And then just seeing their family as well. And I feel like it gives me hope. It also gives me hope to see a family who has been rooted in Christ, and to see how John Bevere and his wife have created this family of just sons who love the Lord, and then found women who love the Lord, and so on. So it's like it gives a level of hope. Like, man, like, not saying that that's my expectation, right? But I feel like there's a desire of my heart that, yes, like I would love for all my children to love the Lord, their spouses to love the Lord, and so on. And so I think it just shows me like, hey, it's possible.
It is.
So
thank you for that.
That's something that sparked joy in me.
Thank you. Is there any area in your life right now where you know that becoming a parent is going to expand you or change you in a way that, like, you were kind of scared, but you're kind of looking forward to, kind of?
So many things. I'm gonna let you answer this one. Let me ponder on this one for a bit.
Okay. There are a lot of things I don't share, Podcast Nation. I do not like to share my time. I do not like to share my food. I do not like to share space sometimes. Like these areas, like but definitely time. Do not like to share it. Like, I am a time hoarder, because every minute is a minute gone in my head. So I don't like to share it. Man, there's about to be a person that I'm going to have to share my time with. And I know many of you are thinking, wow, I thought she was married. I am. And I just know that is going to stretch me. Like, it's going to stretch me in that. I feel like I don't even like to share my feelings. Or when I say feelings, I know people are like, you don't like to talk about them. No, like, I feel like love, I have a limited capacity to provide to others in the world, a limited capacity of care. Like, if I care for too many things, like, I can't be an active carer of it. Like, I can't be a caretaker for it, because I also got to caretake for this. Like, so when I say like share my feelings, I mean that way. Like I because I hoard so many other things inside. I think emotions are one of the other things I hoard. So to know that there's a person that I'm going to have to share my love with, and share my time with, and share my compassion for, and share like these things, like I'm going to have to share. I think that I can already see myself, like even now, marriage was like the first place where I saw myself be stretched, but becoming a parent is going to definitely stretch me in those areas, just in sharing. And even though they say sharing is caring, not sharing is too. Okay, that's what having boundaries is. But kids, they don't respect your boundaries. So, and they don't mean to not you know, but I know that I'm going to have to share with them. And so I'm both scared and excited to see who is that Alicia that is sharing, that is caring.
I love you so much. Man, I think for me, I just coming back to just the area of like wanting to control and set expectations, right? And so I know it's like stretching. I don't know how to help me process this, but it's just like I'm not stretching my expectations, but more like stretching my need to like remove expectations. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so, yeah, because like, yes, I same thing. Like, I don't want to have my kids have like this pressure because their mom wants so and so and so and so and so, you know? And so like, I want to love them for who they are, build them for the gifts that God has put in them. But not have my expectations, you know, I don't know, hinder that, you know? So I think that's for sure.
So your capacity to let go is going to be stretched.
Look at you. That's why this is so helpful.
That's good. Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'm already doing good at that and just being like, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, sharing.
Man,
freeing.
God's working on that right now for me too. Just like the expectations part. Like, let it go. Let it
It's
go.
hard though.
Let it go.
It's hard when you know, you remember like, and you even see it in movies and stuff, but we actually lived it. And I think this generation, like us and the generations before us, we had like timelines, right? Like now this generation, they don't live like that, you know, because every day is so fast and so much, right? But for us, we didn't have all this intake. Like it was like, oh, yep, at 18, I'm going to go to college. At 22, I'm going to be married. By 24, I'm going to have a kid. By 30, I'm going to be done. Like, we were, like, timelined, you know? And I think our parents were like that. And our parents, like, it was just this expectation of, oh, by this age, you're supposed to have this. You're supposed to have done this. And so we live in the shadow of our own expectations because we just so used to, like, now we fighting against the timeline that literally, I don't know who created it. If we created it or if it was created for, I guess we had parts to play. But you just fighting the time. Like at this Alicia at 31 is supposed to be done having kids. You know, because that was a time in my head.
That's what they say.
You know, but in my head, even when I was younger, when you imagine your life, it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to meet my partner in college. You know, it's where they say you meet them. Yeah. Then me and my partner, we're gonna get married. You know, right after college, we're gonna start our lives. That's what they say. Start your lives. You're gonna start your life. That's so funny to me. And then you're going to have kids and, you know, and your life is just going to go from there. So that's supposed to be done by 30. Yeah. Like I met my husband at the end of my 20s. You know, we got married when I was 28, 29. So it's like I moved past that timeline already. And I think my brain is trying to adjust to like, I thought we was going to be here. So I can see how you would struggle with that because I feel like our generation struggles with that.
Yeah, it's a whole societal thing that we're breaking. We're breaking
it. Generational curses, man. Because I don't want my kids to have... Now, they need a little timeline.
Yeah, we're not calling for complacency and laziness.
Yeah, you need a little timeline. You ain't going to be living with me forever.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know about none of that.
Yeah.
But just my kids should be here by this time and here by this time and here by this time.
That's so unfair.
The struggle, though.
Yeah, that's so unfair. So, man. Okay, so just going the being prepared. Do you believe that God equips people for parenthood before, in the middle, or you know, a little bit of both?
Man, friend, I feel like that's a hard question that I want you to answer first.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
For me, it's definitely both. Because even right now, I think in this even just this last week, right, of just seeing how God has worked in my heart, for example, like falling into sin, right? And as I fell into sin and follow what the Bible says, which is confess your sins to one another, and it will heal you, right? It will heal you. And just like working through that. But then that led to me even just really processing and understanding like, hey, I am God's daughter, and what that has changed for me, and just given me freedom to know, hey, like I am loved, I am forgiven. And to me, like, I'm just like, man, how much different of a mother am I going to be? Ooh. Walking into motherhood and having that same mindset, right? Like, yeah, I love my child so much, and giving them, how do I say, building them to understand that there is grace, right, for them, that there is love for them, that there is forgiveness for them. And in return, that's why we give grace to others. That's why we love others. That's why we are able to forgive others. And so I can just think of, I mean, that's just one example of what was, how God worked in me even just this past week. So I think that's like, it's just been layers of that, even up to this last 31 years of like things that God is working in my heart, breaking down, pruning, building up, watering, all the things, right? Like God is doing so much in me right now that I'm like, I know that God is preparing me to be the mother that I need to be for this child that he's going to bless me with. And so, yeah. And so like, I think that even and then once we go through it, right? Like once we're in parenthood, like I can only imagine. And I know just from people around me that love Jesus and who are raising kids, and they're just able to be vulnerable with me about like the things how God is working through them in their experiences and dealing with their children. I'm just like, man, Lord, like you're preparing us, even just in the midst of it, before. Yeah. So to me, it's like before and in the middle. So yeah.
I agree with everything she just said, guys. No, I do.
Nothing to add.
No, not really. Like, I think that's true.
Yeah.
Like I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So do you feel like you compare your readiness, with like other people, your family, your friends, Instagram?
You know what? It's not a lot of parents I see on Instagram. I think it's just the way my feed is set up. But like the people in my immediate life, I think that I do compare, and I don't even know if it's a negative or a positive comparison, but I think that there is a comparison trap there. And I don't know if I compare to my generation as much as like my mom and, my grandmother. I spend a lot of time being like, oh yeah, like y'all was like this. Yeah, I can't be me. Couldn't be me, or like, oh man, my mom did, like when my mom had a full-time job, 4 kids, and I remember most of my like meals and stuff like that, like the caretaking parts, my mama was doing that too. I'm sure my dad signed some permission slips or helped with some homework, but I remember my mom really doing the bulk of those things. Yeah. My dad was primarily like the disciplinary, so
take out that.
When I think about like that, I wonder like, can I do that? Like, am I as capable as my mother was in carrying this load? Like, and what do I sacrifice in that? Like I think a lot of parents of before, I don't think that they have regret. Like that's the wrong word, but I think that they, like there was this, and I've heard people say it in that generation where it's like, oh, you put your life on pause, to press play on your kids' life so they don't start living their lives again until their kids gone. And it's like, you mean, like that means my brother is 37, I think, 38. Your life was on pause from when he was born, and I'm 6 years. Yeah. I'm 6 years younger. So my mama's life was on pause. What's that, for 24 years, 25 years?
It's a long time.
Do I want that? So I think I compare myself to these images and expectations that my family, based on just the family I was raised in, what they did and what they didn't do. Like I said, I don't really compare myself to the Instagrammers. I don't think my feed is designed with a lot of parenting. And if I be 100 with you, like a lot of my, like the people that I follow that I knew from, the past till now, like it's a lot of single parents out there, so my journey isn't, well, I anticipate that God will allow my husband to live long life and we live long life together. That it won't be like that. But I did start meeting some, like I made new friends since moving here.
What? You're not allowed to have new friends.
I know, but I am. Like, I joined a book club and, like the first couple sessions is just whatever. But now, like I follow some of them on Instagram. I talk to some of them. Like, I think that they make parenthood look so normal. Right? And I had never seen that before, like where I felt like, oh, this is natural. Like you expected this, like you are okay with that truth. I think that I compare myself to that. Like, how do I get there? Where it's just like,
how do I get normal?
Yeah, like this is normal, girl. You're supposed to have a kid, girly. It's fine. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna survive. But I don't think that there's a comparison, like a strong comparison that I do with my parents in their generation. Like, okay, how do I compete with that, to be a great mom too? Because I feel like my mom was good. Like, man, yeah, she wasn't perfect, but man, she was just great at what she did. Like, she wanted that. And then my husband's mom, when I asked her what did she want to be when she grew up, she was like, a mom. Yeah, that never crossed my mind, not me. So I think about that. So I do compare myself to that, right? Like, This is a mother who, I mean, if it was up to her, all of her kids would still be at home. All of her kids, like she finds joy in like her sons and her daughters coming home and they cooking with each other. Like that is like, I literally watch her stop aging in those moments, like she gets to be a mom. So I think I kind of compare myself to that too, like, cause that's not my personality. So I'm not sure what my husband expects
of you.
Yeah, if that's how you was raised and this how I was raised. Like, I don't know. And we be having to break down some of those stereotypes in our marriage. Because, what about you? Any comparison traps you fall into?
I think the trap that I fall into for me is definitely the Instagram, for
really?
Sure. Yeah.
Who are you following on Instagram?
Well,
I don't got them in my feed.
Well, I think it became more heavy once I got pregnant and I was looking at all the baby pages on all of, stuff. And so now it's like, that's all my feed feeds me, which I'm not against it, but I think it is easy to fall into the trap of like, hey, first of all, Instagram only shows a certain part of parenthood, right? Like the beauty of it, which is great, which is great. And so, but I think sometimes it can set unrealistic expectations for us because it's like, oh, this is the way it needs to be curated, right? Okay. And so yeah, for me, I think that's the easy one to fall into, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that can fall into that trap too, of just being in social media. And so just having to protect my heart against that, and knowing like, hey, like that's you weren't called to be that person. You were called to be you, to your child. So I think that's just going to have to be a constant reminder because social media is not going away. And so I think that one, I find it interesting that you talked about comparing yourself to your mom and her generation. Cause I never even really, I guess I didn't think about comparing myself to my mom per se. I think that, and yet it also reminds me of how some people are driven by who their parents were. Like, Mark and I talked about this. Like, oh, I don't want to be like my mom in this area. I don't want to be like my dad in this area. And that is comparison. And you're right. But I also heard a pastor say like, the dangers of comparing yourself to your parents is because you're setting them as the standard instead of setting the ultimate father, as your standard. And so that's who we should be comparing ourselves to, and it's just like, man, like, is my actions right now being Christ-like? No. Okay. Let me adjust. And so, so I know who I compare myself to and who I should compare myself to. And so being able to kind of, continue to shift every day, to continue to compare myself to how, Jesus walked his life, and how that, I want that to be reflected in my parenting style.
Are there any, and I know we talking about like the comparison trap in, I guess, the negative light right now. Are there any positive comparisons, I guess, that you're making, whether on Instagram, like anybody you look to that you're like,
yeah, that's good.
Man,
question.
I kind of want to be like
No, yeah, absolutely. So one mom that comes to my mind that I follow on Instagram, I remember, I think I shared it with you, where it's like, hey, walking through pregnancy without the Lord, and then walking through pregnancy with the Lord. And it's just like, she kind of used these just like phrases where it's like, man, I can't do this, right? Or whatever. Like birth is gonna be too hard, right? Like these lies that we are not, I wouldn't say lies, maybe they're lies. These narratives that most people have or can have, but then how those narratives can switch when you have Jesus, right? Like, man, like the Lord built my body to be able to hold this child. My Lord built my body to be able to birth this child. Like, and so just being able to reframe like the things that the world believes about motherhood, parenthood, birth, all those things. And so, yeah, there's this mom that I follow on Instagram, and she does a lot of those just kind of, just like reframing things and just putting it in a mindset of truth, which is biblical. So
that's good.
Yeah, what about you?
I'm a real big fan. I follow a lot of, and that's why I say, because I don't follow a lot of them, but I follow enough of them where it impacts my feed of like preachers, right? And I love watching preachers raise kids and seeing like what they share. And I don't know if I should name drop or anything like that, but like just there are some really great preachers and teachers who, when I look at their journey, it's like, okay, how did they create kids like this who love the Lord too? Because I don't think that that's easy, to create a son or a daughter. It's really harder in the son realm to me than the daughter realm, that loves the Lord like this, and so I do like following like a lot of preachers and seeing like, that they're not perfect, that their kid's not perfect, but that they're working at this relationship because they are so passionate about their relationship with Christ that it kind of like it overflows.
And I feel like that's really the only thing we can do is just overflow, right? Like let our fruit be something that our kids taste, and they're like, man, like I want to keep, I want to do this too. So okay. Anything else?
No, man, I feel like we've tackled a lot of conversations in this Parentally Unprepared. We're
slightly more prepared just by these conversations.
I think so too.
Yes.
I think we're building community one question at a time. With this.
For sure.
We do want to thank our listeners and thank God for, like this opportunity to build community through podcasts and through the conversations that we have. We do hope that people find something inside of these. What's one big takeaway you want the people to have at the end of this episode, Parentally Unprepared?
Ooh, that's good. The posture of our hearts as we walk into this. I mean, this kind of just going back to our scripture that we started with is, just Solomon's heart. And as he approached the Lord, as he prepared himself to lead a kingdom. And it's just the same thing for us. Like, I just hope that the listeners can just kind of reflect on what their heart posture is as they're either if they're already in it or preparing for it. And yeah, that there is someone who can help you in this journey. So yeah.
That's good.
What about you?
That, even though we both two different people, right? Like our perspectives, every episode is definitely going to show that. But that there's no one way to mom,
Yes.
There's no one way. And but they both require change. Like, and there's no one way to mom, and momming will change us. And just being, like starting to like let that thought sink into your brain and tell yourself that it's okay to change and evolve. Like, that's the expectation of life. They say if you're not growing, you're dying. So the expectation of life is to continue to grow, but there's no one way to mom.
Yeah, so good, so good. Actually, I would like to take a moment though, before we keep going, and just thank, I won't name their names because I don't know if they want to be named, so they will remain unnamed, but there is 2 parents in my community who just have loved on me, and an extension have loved on Alicia so much. If you maybe have noticed that there is a significant difference in the quality of our video and what we're going to produce from episode 1, 2, and then coming into 3. It's just a huge difference, and that was just due to two believers, 2 parents who were obedient to the Lord, who they just felt that this was the ministry that they wanted to pour, or that the Lord was asking them to pour into. And they're two individuals who I look up to very heavily as I walk into this journey of parenthood. And so I'm just very grateful for them. So I did want to give them a shout out.
Thank you to our sponsors.
To our sponsors.
Thank you.
Yes. So yeah, is there anything else you would want our listeners to do?
No, I think just rest in that truth that you are the person for the job. No matter what you feel like or look like or think like, just rest in knowing that like it's you too. It's you too. There's no one way.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you?
I want our listeners to like and subscribe.
Yes.
And if you know anyone who would be interested in just hearing about what we are sharing, we would very much appreciate it if you would share these videos with them. Also, drop in the comments things that you guys would like for us to talk through. Yes. We're, again, just very much figuring this thing out. We're not experts by any means, but we're enjoying these conversations, and we are trusting that the Lord is going to use these conversations to touch people's lives. I hope that you guys can share it.
Yeah, because honestly, we're not parents at all. We 0% parents. We're not even pregnant. So I would say we in our beta form, right?
Yeah.
Like, we are just testing it out, like making hypotheses to see, and we're figuring it out together. Yeah. So thank you for figuring and going through this journey with me, friend.
Yeah. Until next time, y'all.
Until next time.
Bye.